Welcome. In front of me I have the Google Pixel 7a, and today I'll go over unboxing along with a quick overview of this device. So let's pop it straight open. We do have these nice pull tabs right here. Now, based on the size, you can probably already gather that there is no charger included with the device, which I guess everyone probably will have a different opinion on that. I would prefer to have a charger with my device. When I'm paying for the device, I like to have everything included with it, but obviously not everyone will care. Some of you most certainly have several chargers lying around, and that's fine. Anyway, so here's our device. Just peel that off right away. Gonna already boot it up just so you can see the display. And let's move over to the content of the box, which we do have a USB-C to USB-A plug. It's a really nice thing to include. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Now, if you're wondering what this is used for, you could, for instance, plug in something like a mouse to it or a keyboard, and it will work just fine. Now, below that, we have a Type-C to Type-C charging cable. And that's about all we have in the box outside of, well, paperwork, just in this nice little compartment with thick booklet right here, and Google, just a couple links. So yeah, there we go. That's everything in the box. Let's just yeet that to the side and move over to the phone. So let's get started. Hopefully there's some white background just so we can see the bezels. Continue. So I'm just gonna skip through this. There we go. So let's bring up the brightness. Ooh, and actually the phone doesn't get all that bright, surprisingly. I was expecting a little bit better brightness, but hopefully if we just get a phone, let's see. So I want to check out if yep, it does get a little bit brighter. So just to gonna move the flash. And yep, you can see that it's dimming down. So that gets a little bit brighter, which will help with outdoors usage. So yeah. Now, let's start off with the display, which just the specs of it. So this is a 6.1 inch display, so fairly compact display right here. It's a little bit lower than what you might be used to, but obviously this is the Pixel 7a, which is obviously the more budget, along with a little bit smaller. So for some people, that is what they're looking for. I personally do like my phones a little bit smaller, and when it comes to holding this in the hand, obviously I don't have like LeBron James hands right here. So for me, this phone feels pretty good. I can reach most of the phone with very minimum like reorientation of my hand, and it lays also nicely in there. Now, this is also running a 1080p resolution, so just a typical resolution as you might be used to for virtually like almost every phone apart from super budget ones. So it is pretty good. In terms of refresh rate, we are looking at 90 Hertz, so this will be okay. It's nothing like super good, but it's also not bad. And it's obviously nice to have a higher refresh rate on your display. So this will make it so when you're scrolling up or down or opening up things, the display will look a little bit more fluid and smooth, which obviously adds to the experience and it will look nicer. Now, this is also a OLED display, so you'll get perfect black levels, meaning anything that is like fully black, the pixels just turn off. So contrast levels here are just some of the best, obviously. And the glass covering it is a Gorilla Glass 3. And that's basically all for the display. Now let's flip over to the back. We still have the visor design right here, but unlike the the non-A versions of this, the visor right here is super thin. Like the visor on the 7 and 7 Pro, I believe, you could just literally grab it. Here, it's just super like minuscule. So yeah, it's like a millimeter max of additional bezel, or not bezel, but like bump, however you want to call it. So yeah, it's really small. Now when it comes down to the cameras that are housed in here, the main one is a 64 megapixel f1.9 26mm wide sensor, dual pixel PDAF with optical image stabilization, and then besides that we have a 13 megapixel f2.2 ultra wide lens with about 120 degree field of view. So there we go. And at the front we have a 13 megapixel also ultra wide lens with f2.2. That's a 20 millimeters lens. Anyway, now when it comes down to the design right here, just going around, we do have our volume rockers and our power button on the side. As you can see, this is just a normal button right here for the power, and we do have a under display fingerprint sensor. At the top we just have a couple antennas, microphone. Then on our left side we got a couple more antennas, a SIM tray. This is just a SIM tray, there is no SD card support. And at the bottom we have our speakers and our charging port, and that's basically it. So no headphone jacks. If you are looking for it, it would have been nice to actually see this on 7A headphone jack, but I guess everyone is moving away from it. So that's the design. Now when it comes down to the internals powering this device, we have a Google Tensor G2 processor, 8 gigs of RAM, 4385 milliamp hour battery, with 128 gigabytes of built-in storage, running on UFS 3.1 storage type. And in terms of charging speeds for this battery, we have 18 watts wired charging, power delivery 3.0, and also decent 7.5 watts wireless charging. That's actually pretty nice. When it comes down to the wired charging, I would say that it is a little bit on a lower end. It is on a low end, like low end. Most of the mid-range phones, even some of the budget devices, charge faster than this. But obviously Google isn't the only one that is kind of giving us slow charging speeds. Let's just bring out the king of shit when it comes down to slow charging speeds, which is the Fold 4. It's a $1,800 device that charges at 22 watts. Congrats Samsung, you delivered absolute garbage. So yeah, so I'm pointing out that the charging here is slower than king of the slow chargings at flagship devices, but it is a mid-range device. At least the price would imply that it's a mid-range device. And with that in mind, I would have actually expected at least 33 watts charging. That's what I would be looking for at a device at this price range. And talking about this price range, this device costs about $460, about 500 euros. So it's not the cheapest, but it's also not obviously the most expensive. This is, after all, a mid-range device, and it is priced as such, though some of the things don't really come close to what I would expect from such a price tag. And just to name a few, the refresh rate is a little bit lacking for a device at this price range, and obviously the charging is lacking. Now, with that being said, everyone, or I would assume most of the people that are buying this device, they are buying it strictly for the software. And obviously the software here is the typical Pixel software, what you'd expect from previous Pixels, the 7, 7 Pro, and all the other ones. It's Google's software with additional like touches added to it, which you don't see on most of the other Android devices. So we do have some features here that you just will not see anywhere else. For instance, if a phone calls, you can just say to pick up or drop the call, and it will do it. You don't need to be near the phone, you can just give it a voice command and it will automatically detect it. As well as, for instance, one of the more useful features that I find on the Pixel, which is when you have your lock screen, as long as you turn it on obviously, it will when you're on this screen, it will tell you at the bottom any kind of song that it detects playing in the background. So you do need to have that feature enabled, but every time you want to check, you hear a song that you might like, just take out your phone. You don't need to launch anything, you just see it on your lock screen, which is a really nice feature to have. And yeah, so software here obviously will be top-notch. That's primarily what people buy Pixels for. But when it comes down to hardware, I would argue it's a little bit lacking. So with that being said, if just as to give like a alternative, if you are not necessarily like a Pixel or Android enjoyer and you're just looking for a really good device for the price, there are some new Xiaomi devices. Let me just quickly check what the actual name of them were that I literally had not long ago. Okay, so there were the Poco F5 and F5 Pro. Those devices are just outstanding for the price. Obviously, you won't be getting the typical Pixel experience. They will have their own skin for Android. I think it's like the color or MIUI, whatever they're calling it. So it's nothing like stock. But when it comes down to the value for your money, it goes way further than this. So just to put that out there, the the Poco F5 Pro, which is their flagship Poco device, at least at the moment, is running a Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1 processor for about the same price. And apart from that, it has, I believe, 108 megapixel camera, 120 Hz refresh rate on your display with AMOLED display. So in almost every kind of way, it is basically a flagship device, but the price is roughly about the same as the Pixel. So if you're looking for just a powerhouse of a device that can do anything that you throw at it at a super competitive price, then Poco would be the phone that you probably are looking for. But if you're looking for this more traditional kind of Android experience with just super flashed out OS as it is on Pixels, then, well, look no further. Pixel is the device. It does suffer a little bit on the hardware side, but it makes it up with software. So with this being said, hopefully you found this video helpful, informative. If you did, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and thanks for watching.